Hello and welcome back to Double Wicket Maiden. The last time we met you guys, we still had Ramiz Raja as the chairman of PCB. Mohammad Wasim was still our chief selector. Azhar Ali was still, actively playing Test cricket, and Lahore Qalandars were the best franchise in Pakistan. As we record today, only the last one stands true. The rest are unfortunately or fortunately, as you choose to look at, are not true anymore. But clearly, there has a lot been going on both off the field and on the field. We had a whole home season. England toured and then New Zealand toured, and as you might have noticed, there's a lot going off the field as well. And in today's episode, we'll try to cover all of it. Clearly, a lot went on, so I don't know how much we'll be able to, but we'll try. What do you think, Iman?
I guess we can start with the England series. I'll be honest, Zoha
Yeah.
and we didn't want to talk about it because when it was going on, we were going through it, as was I think every Pakistan fan. To a certain extent, losing the World Cup to England was acceptable. Losing that T20 series, that 7 matches won at home, it was acceptable. I mean, I even said after that, okay, if we've lost this series, I don't really care about meaningless T20 bilaterals as long as we secure the Test series. And then we didn't secure the Test series. We lost 3-0 in ridiculous fashion. And so what we're gonna do today is we've all moaned a lot about what went wrong in the Test series. And honestly, Zoha and I aren't up to that task anymore. We're not. We can't. We'll talk about some of the things that are maybe not so great about the PCB and what's worrying about our future and all of that. But regarding the Test series and the New Zealand series, the New Zealand ODI and Test series as well, we'll kind of just talk about the positives, right, Zoha?
Yeah. I don't want to whine anymore. I think we've done too much of it. We've cried. We've gone through it. I think I'm past my 5 stages of grief, and I'm slowly entering acceptance. And now or maybe it's denial. I don't know. Maybe it's denial, and I'm just gonna focus on the positives. But yeah, I think let's just dive into it. And the first positive I think on everyone's mind was probably South Shakil, because I mean, the guy batted and the guy batted so well. Um, I used to feel कि uh, साउथ शकील जब तक क्रीज पे है ना, इट्स फाइन, मे बी विल ड्रॉ इट. आई मीन जीतने का तो सवाल ही नहीं पैदा हो रहा था. बट एक्चुअली द मुल्तान टेस्ट आई थॉट वीड विन.
Yeah.
बट उसके अंदर भी if I'll say it on record, if we hadn't been robbed of the South Shakil victory, हमने वो जीत जाना था.
100%.
But I mean, that was not out. That was not out. And so in my head, we won one. We won Multan match. So I'll just give it to him. He didn't get out on 94. He got to his century, and we won the match. But jokes aside, I think South Shakil, the middle order batter, the future is so bright. He was a joy to watch.
Yeah, no, 100%. I also think, we tend to take players like Saud and Aga who have just come into the test squad. Like, I mean, Aga came in July and Saud came just now. We tend to take them a little bit for
Yeah.
granted. Because in the beginning, everyone, especially with Aga, when he didn't do so well in, like, I think the first test, or I think he did a
Yeah.
little bit good in the last and in the second test in Sri Lanka, everyone was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's okay, like, he's not that great. And now everyone's singing praises for him.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, you can't take bench strength in Pakistan for granted. You can't. The fact
Yeah.
that there was a replacement and for Fawad Saud, and the fact that we have a number 7 Aga, and they both have great first class
Yeah.
records and all of that stuff, you can't be ungrateful about it or just be like, this guy.
Yeah.
So honestly, they deserve all the hype. I'm really proud of Aga as well. I feel like South has this very distinct style, which was really fun to watch when, especially, in contrast to basketball and all of their heroics. I thought what he was doing was equally admirable, if not more. And then you've got Aga, who's just up to the task. He's like, batting with the tail, I got it.
Yeah.
Do you want to go at a run rate of 5?
Yeah.
I got it. Do you want me to just like attack from one end while Noman just took the entire thing and
Yeah.
then I get to a century somehow? I got it. So I thought that was really awesome about him. And then of course, you know, he's quite good at ODI cricket too. So pretty much our perfect number
Yeah.
5 for the World Cup. So definitely a massive positive as well.
Yeah, and also with players like Aga, I think like, you know, hum log, I he himself has said that he's a batting all-rounder. But I mean, in Test cricket, we've seen how, you know, how much we don't utilize our all-rounders like we should have. I mean, we've had so many cases, and let's not go down that rabbit hole. But I mean, we have a tendency to, you know, misuse our all-rounders.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Aga, what worked really well, and I wasn't expecting that either. You know, Babar, when he needed that option, he did go to Aga, and that worked off. I think it was the first New Zealand test, or I don't know if I can't recall clearly, but I think he didn't bowl too much in the England series, but in the New Zealand series he did, and I mean that paid off too. He got good wickets. I think he was our best bowler in 1 or 2 sessions. So
Yeah.
I think with people like Agha Salman, you do need that edge, right? Especially when you're playing teams like New Zealand, who, you know, have played so much Test cricket. They were the winners of the World Test Championship last year. With, you know, versus when you're a very inexperienced team, I think things like this help. You know, getting choti idhar se edge, udhar se edge. I think we underestimate that, and I really like what Babar was doing with Aga. I mean, a lot of people didn't, you know, agree with Babar when he was giving the ball to Aga, but then he did. And then, you know, one of my favorite things about following cricket on Twitter is you will see a tweet and it will go like, why did Babar do that? And next step it goes well and they're like, oh. And I love watching that, because I'm the same. I get very, you know, anxious, especially, you know, in test match when Babar's bowling changes do not always resonate with me, and I'm like, ye kya ho raha hai? So it happened with me, and then I was glad to be proven wrong, because I remember जब उसने आगा को ball दिया था ना, we weren't getting wickets or something like that. So I block out memories when I don't enjoy matches. So forgive me if I'm hazy, but I remember like he was giving ball to Aga. I'm like, ye kya kar raha hai? Why is he doing that? And then Aga got the wicket and he did that really, you know, cold celebration. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I see it. I see what you're doing.
My favorite thing was when he got a wicket and it was a really good delivery and he even shocked himself. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I really, really loved that moment. But yeah, I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it also speaks to our attack when we think about how Agha was our best bowler in some sessions. This isn't, I mean,
Yeah.
Naseem is obviously brilliant. Abrar was also really special. I think he did struggle. But
Yeah.
it's a great prospect, and we can't, again, take bench strength in Pakistan.
Yeah.
You cannot take it for granted. Abrar is a starter, and now
Yeah.
that we know that he's kind of working on his speeds, he might even be a good option in white ball cricket. So, I mean, and
Yeah.
maybe Islamabad United will just do something to them, the way Multan Sultans tends to do something to their players and make them way better than they actually are. Sorry. Maybe Islamabad United will have that impact on Abrar. But yeah, so then you've got Agha being a positive both as a batter and a bowler. Then you've got, of course, Naseem and Abrar
Yeah.
being great as bowlers. Naseem obviously a level above everyone else, but that's
Yeah.
because he's Naseem Shah. I mean, you can't compete with him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, even the batter Naseem Shah, the very, you know, my favorite partnership was Naseem and Abrar, New Zealand second test. And I mean, the conversation, I don't know if I think you did, because I saw everyone tweeting about it.
Uh-huh.
But the post-match conversation that Naseem and Abrar sat down and they talked about, you know, the partnership. It was like, ये चल के आ रहा था इमरान खान की तरह पहले. I was trying to tell, you know, कि उसको ऐनक लगी हुई है, so you guys are gonna bowl at him under dimming lights. This is not fair. But then, you know, he walks in and he's walking like Imran Khan, and I'm like, चलो यार इसमें confidence तो है. And I was like, what precious bunch of boys, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, my favorite part was when Naseem says, मैंने उसको बोला कि तुमने ये field रखी ना, मैंने change कर लेना है. I was like, oh my god, imagine being, I don't know how old is he, I don't know, 19 or 20, imagine being that old and just like telling Tim Southee that, oh, you know, I'm on to you, either you want to have me take a go at it or, you know, you fix your field. And I loved it. I think I watched that video like 2 or 3 times. I was like, what a man, what a guy, Naseem Shah. And even Abrar, he's like, I knew ये लोग फील्ड ऐसे रखेंगे, तो मैं बार बार नसीम को जाके कह रहा था बहुत स्ट्रेट बॉल ही खेलना, ज्यादा ना खेलना, you might get out. I was like, these are our future, and I'm so glad they are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. No. You go on.
Speaking of, I want you to also comment on Abrar's, you know, first spell. In the second test, Multan test, Abrar, you know, enters test cricket, and what does he do? I want you to, you know, tell me how you felt. Because I didn't expect that.
Listen, after Syed Mahmood played the first test, we all were like, oh my god, there's a perfectly good bowler sitting on the bench. What's wrong with them? And like we'd seen Abrar bowl in the Qaid-e-Azam trophy. But obviously, you don't really, like, especially after the Pacers on the first day of the Multan test against England, after they'd kind of just obviously been leaking runs to Bazball, we were just like, well, we got another flatty, I have no idea, it doesn't have movement. It's also really early in the morning, so you don't know, okay? You don't know what's happening. And then this kid comes on to bowl, and Abrar, I think it's around 23, which is around our age, Soha, but he looks really young. I mean, I don't know, we look really young too, but he looks like a kid, okay? He's got these little glasses, and he really looks like Harry Potter. He just comes on in, and he just starts working his magic, like, first over on. And you're like, oh my god. And then you realize simultaneously that, oh my god, the pitch is offering something. Oh my god, we have a spinner who can spin the ball and who can actually bowl, and they don't know how to pick him yet. And that was brilliant. The first session, the fifer, I mean, I still feel like we gave away too many runs in that innings, but you know what? It's fine. The point was, I think that was the happiest I was in the entire series, like, that day. Like, I remember thinking after that day, oh my god, we won that day. Like, they might have made, I think they made nearly 300 runs. But we got them all out. And yeah, it was something special. I mean, Abrar is something special, basically.
Yeah. I mean, my entire, you know, if I look back at the England series, मुझे सिर्फ Harry Brook नजर आता है. Harry Brook scoring runs on runs, and that's all I recall about the England tour. I have no other memory, but you know, but Abrar ka, I think there was also something, you know, like you said, he's magic. So usko, when you watch him bowl, there's just so much joy because he clearly loves what he's doing and he's clearly good at it. And then I missed that energy on the field in the first test. Naseem was playing, but he was clearly struggling. Harith Rauf was playing, but he was, you know, clearly struggling. And I always say it, I have a big bowler's bias. So I was like, yaar, mujhe maza nahi aa raha bowling dekhne mein. And then in the second test, Abrar brought that magic. And even though we lost, I had fun watching our bowling. So I was like, okay with it.
Yeah.
उन्होंने तो स्कोर करना ही था, like you said, we conceded like 300 or something, but at least we didn't, you know, we weren't humiliated. I mean, the bar is low, but what do we do now?
Yeah, no,
I really enjoyed his bowling.
For the England series, when Abrar at least came on, our bowling attack was Abrar, and that's about it, which is difficult. So, you know, you can, on one end, you're like celebrating, oh my gosh, Abrar, like, he's getting all of their wickets. This is insane. The other end, you're like, oh my god, it's because no one else can get their wickets. And then similarly, I think when Abrar was struggling a little bit in the New Zealand series, it was like Naseem and versus the 11 New Zealand players. Not to say that Aga and all weren't doing well, they were, but, you know, watching Naseem bowl was probably the most beautiful thing ever. And what I think is
Yeah.
interesting, Zoha, which I think we should talk about, is that you know how you said that about the England series, all you remember is Harry Brooks scoring runs. About the New
Yeah.
Zealand series, all I remember is Sarfaraz Ahmed scoring runs. Like that was that was a comeback of all comebacks. I
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I wasn't happy about Sarfaraz coming back. I don't think it makes sense to drop your keeper from your team
Yeah.
randomly. Um, and fine, Qudrat ka Nizam might have been like whatever. It was Sarfaraz's turn to take on the mantle of
Yeah.
wicketkeeper batter and go to number 6, but Rizwan wasn't doing as badly as they were making it out to be. He wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I am happy for Surfraz that he got a homecoming and he got to play a test in Pakistan. He got to play tests at home in Karachi,
Yeah.
and he did that well. I am very happy for him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Sarfraz Ahmed fan. I will like him, but like but I I was actually like at loss of words when he got to his century at Karachi. वो
Yeah.
इतनी I think we hadn't witnessed a moment like that in our Test cricket. I was hoping that Azhar gets to his century in his last test or something, but that didn't happen. But it's all right.
Yeah.
When Sarfaraz got to his century, I was like, oh man, this is why I watch Test cricket. This is why I watch cricket, but this is why I specifically watch Test cricket. You get to see, because I mean, people getting hundreds in ODI or T20 crickets, maybe milestones. It's fun, but watching your batters you've watched or your players you've seen their career and they're at the end of their career and they get milestones like that at home,
Yeah.
especially because we've not had test cricket at home for a long time. I think it was a really special moment, and I mean, I think everyone could tell how much it meant to him as well, because
Mm-hmm.
he was clearly overcome by emotions. And I mean, I think it was great. I it was definitely one of the highlights for of the New Zealand tour for me. Despite whatever you said about Rizwan and Sarfaraz, I completely agree. I don't think Rizwan should have been dropped out,
Mm-hmm.
dropped or rested out. Whatever, I don't know what the words they were using. I'm not sure if they said he was dropped or rested, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think he could have been. I think he could have played. I think they could have, if they really wanted to. I don't know how that would have worked out, but they could have gone with both Rizwan and Sarfaraz. अगर सरफराज को इतना ज़्यादा खिलाना ही था, maybe then Shan could have sat out. I don't know, but yeah, I think looking back, I'm glad that Sarfaraz had, because speaking of Sarfaraz, he had some great partnerships with Saud Shakil as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoyed watching those. And yeah, I think I'm happy for Sarfaraz fans as well. They waited for this, so congratulations if you're a Sarfaraz fan. You've supported him throughout. I'm really glad you got to witness that, because that was a beautiful moment. उसके अलावा one thing that I do want to talk about is how, like you said earlier, कि it was either Abrar leading our bowling attack, or it was Naseem leading our bowling attack, which is crazy. चलो Naseem तो has experience, but he's still like 20, and like you said, Abrar is 23. So what is it with us and burdening our young bowlers with all the responsibility in the world? And why does that happen so often? Because it happens very often. Shaheen got to burden the responsibility very soon into his career as well. So I mean, I think I love our bowlers, but I think we need to talk about that and see why that's happening so often and what we can do to make it stop, because I don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is all systemic. Like, we call ourselves a fast bowlers factory and all of that, but to produce test level fast bowlers is no easy feat. Um, And then we also don't play, I think, as often enough for us to really develop players.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the cards we're dealt, but it's also the way we're handling the cards that we've got. Like
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
think that it's fine that we played Mir Hamza, it's fine that we played Muhammad Ali and all of
Yeah.
that. But I just
Yeah.
expected better for them. They've been playing first class cricket for
Yeah.
so long. And people were like, "Oh, Musa should have played." But then some people were like, "Well, Musa doesn't have the discipline yet, and he's also quite young." And I was like, "Then he shouldn't even be an option, right? We shouldn't be like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a younger bowler out there that we can just throw into this fire pit right now and then ask him to bowl his heart out." Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's a frustrating thing, and honestly, it's come to a point where what's interesting, Zoha, actually, is that I was grappling with all these issues and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Like, how are we going to do this? What's our future going to look like? How is Naseem going to bear this burden of all three formats? Shaheen, Ditto, and Haris Rauf as well if they bring him into this. And then so much happened in Pakistan cricket. Like, the PCB
Yeah.
upending and rivalries
Yeah.
between Sarfraz and Rizwan and Babar and Rizwan and Babar and
Yeah.
Sarfraz and God knows what. कि I actually forgot that ये problems भी हैं हमारे पास. So yeah,
That's
I don't
true.
know. I guess it's all systemic. I mean, we're not doing something right when we develop these players.
Yeah. You've already mentioned it, so we're gonna jump to that soon. But before we do that, I do want to give a small shout out, and that was Hassan Ali. I was scared for my life when I got to know that he's playing, because I mean he hasn't been in the best of forms, and I love Hassan Ali. So मुझे पता था कि if he messes up, he's gonna get sworn to hell and back on on the internet. But he didn't do that bad. He struggled at the start with his, at the start of his spell. But when he got into his groove, he wasn't too bad, and I really liked, watching him bowl again. I mean, I don't think he's gonna, inshallah, when Shaheen comes back and recovers. So I don't think Hassan Ali is gonna be in the long term plans, sadly, because I mean, uski form bhi jari. I hope he regains his form, but if not, God forbid, this was the last time we might have seen him play. It's not the worst, man, because otherwise it was the Australia series, and that wasn't too well. Did he play in the Sri Lanka series? Yeah, he did. So I don't think those went too well for him. So the New Zealand wasn't, the worst series. I can live with that being his. I don't, actually I can't. I want to suddenly come back. I can't live with that. I taking my words back. But I'm still proud of how. Yeah, because I want a big, Hassan Ali comeback. And like, I don't know if a 10 wicket haul is too much to ask for, but I want that.
Yeah.
Azhar Ali went down without, a big closing act. I want that for Hassan Ali. Hassan Ali deserves that. So no, I'm not saying that I'm happy with it, but I'm happy that he didn't do too bad. He was okay. Yeah. I think we can. Do you have something to add about Hassan Ali, man? Or we can, move on to the drama that has been unfolding the past, I think, forever now. The past few days.
I
But
wanna
yeah.
say, I mean, I guess this will come up with the drama as well. Actually, yeah, this probably will come up with the drama as well. But I am also really, with regards to the ODI series, really, really proud
Yeah.
of Fakhr and how he kind of pulls through.
Yeah.
With that century, and it's worrying that he was playing while he was in pain, but honestly, the way things
Yeah.
are, which we'll talk about in a sec, I get why he did that, and I really
Yeah.
hope he's okay now.
Yeah.
I hope he takes
Yeah.
the time to rest now and get to full strength, because we need him. But yeah, I guess we can talk about
Yeah.
whatever's been going on,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, so I think for a basic summary for anyone who hasn't been following, Ramiz Raja was, removed as chairman, and Najam Sethi took over, and they made a new management committee which is, being led by Najam Sethi, and he actually apparently fired our chief selector via text at night, and he And then, we had an interim selection committee which was led by Shahid Afridi, and it had Abdul Razak in it and two other people. I'm forgetting the name.
Rao Iftikhar, I think.
And then, yeah, yeah. And then, we don't currently have any, solid, concrete plans about who our next chief selector is, or who our next coaching staff is, who is our head coach. We have no idea, because Saklan Mushtaq and Sean Tate's contracts are over in February. Our batting coach Yusuf was on, I think, series-based contracts. So uska I don't think permanent tha, but Saklan and Sean Tate's have finished their assignments officially. So we don't have a coach yet. We don't have a bowling coach yet. We don't know who our chief selector is. And yeah, everything is basically going up in flames. Oh, by the way, the constitution was, I think, revoked in the 2000. We went back to the 2014 one, which means that the current domestic cricket structure is also, not in place anymore. I think we're going back to the department cricket. I haven't read up too much on it, so I'm iffy on the details, but I think that's the gist of it. And uske alawa, it keeps getting worse. Our board of directors on the PCB, they have been tweeting weird stuff, especially about Rizwan and his apparent Pashtun or Tablighi group or whatever. And then there are rumors about Sarfaraz and Babar rivalry, and apparently there are camps in the team. Yeah, and also I clearly can't stop because there's so much happening. There's a call for a change in captaincy. Babar Azam to be replaced in ODI by Shan Masood, who last played for Pakistan in 2019 before the New Zealand series. And I think they're calling for a change in captaincy in Test cricket too. But yeah, I think I just went on a monologue, but too much is happening, and I think I hope I covered all of it.
I think you did.
Iman, thoughts.
Okay. I don't know a lot of things about grassroots cricket. I'll admit that. I'm not the most well-versed person, but I don't think changing from regional teams to, like, I don't even know how many departmental teams we'll have, and how many. I don't know. There's basically a lot more, and what that means is a lot of cricketers will get to play, and they're like, oh, that's good because more jobs and more money. But the thing is, the talent, the kind of exclusivity, the competitiveness that you get with regional teams, you don't get with this many departmental teams. So on that front, systemically, we were already struggling to produce excellent cricketers, or like international level cricketers, especially in the red ball format. I don't know what's going to happen now. So that's my like intellectual take. Now my angry take is that racist and Islamophobic people are in charge at PCB. They get to whisper in Najam Sethi's ear. They get to say which journalists which journalists are invited to their home, and they get to run PCB's operations and all of that stuff. While we know that they hate players because of where they're from and what their religious inclinations are. Now that's insane. That's a sackable offense. That's a punishable offense. What the hell? Like people talk about cancel culture, but oh my god, I wish we had cancel culture in Pakistan. I really want to cancel all these old bigoted fools who sit on top and think that they know things, when all they want is just power, and they just want control, and they just want money, and they're making these stupid tables trying to prove that Najam Sethi is cooler and better and smarter than Ramiz Raja, when no one cares. And that makes you look really stupid. And we didn't like Ramiz Raja. So for you to just outdo everything Ramiz ever did and to make him look like a little saint is a massive, massive achievement. But yeah, it's just awful. I hate them.
Yeah, and And I mean, if it was anyone else tweeting this, I might have ignored it and I said, "Chalo, इस तरह के लोग हर जगह होते हैं."
Yeah.
But you know, his words are not inconsequential, and if you connect the dots and you and think about it, when the original whatever 25 probables for the ODI series were announced, Fakhar, Khushdil, Iftikhar, they were left out. Haider Ali, Khushdil, Iftikhar were still not called. Fakhar Zaman to chalo वापस आ गया. But I mean, no one is blind here. You can see that something is happening. No, and they're not even trying to be subtle about it. The like the ODI match, I don't know if it was the second one or the third one, when Rizwan dropped a catch. There was this certain journalist who started like posting pictures of Rizwan dropping the catch, and they like har kisi se catch drop hota hai. And I was like, we know what you're trying to do. We're not blind. The people are not blind. They can see what's going on. And I mean, shameless, shameless agenda. I don't know. I don't like to use the word agenda because it sounds like बहुत ज़्यादा conspiracy theories चल रही हैं. But they clearly do have an agenda, and it's so shameless that I can't even wrap my head around it. Ki we're sitting in 2023 with these people heading our the best sports, the most loved sports in the country, and they're heading it and they're running it to the ground, and they're acting like school children fighting over the swings, like who gets to play the longest or whatever. And it's infuriating because it's a World Cup year. What are you trying to do? And I mean, the worst part is the journalists are going into the press conferences asking, you're all former captain, why don't you step down from your captaincy? I mean, no matter how much you disagree, I mean, I respect that you have opinions about cricket, but if you can't convey them in a respectful manner, then sorry, you don't get to be in that
100%.
press conference. You don't get to ask him if he should step down from his captaincy. I mean, I saw so many tweets कि मतलब उसका सवाल गलत नहीं था. As a fan, he has, or as a journalist, he has every right to ask if he's not satisfied with a certain someone's performance or a certain someone's captaincy, then that person has the right to question. And I agree, as a fan or as a as someone who follows cricket, I do get to question if our players are not performing up to the task. But you can't go up and tell. He's not even asking, he's stating that, hey, you should drop down your captaincy cap and move on. And that's not it. That doesn't happen anywhere in the world. But yeah, I mean, that's just one example of what all goes down in Pakistan cricket. And I mean, disappointment is a small word, but I'm so I'm so done with all of them. I'm just so done.
Honestly, I wasn't even phased about us losing the series. I was just terrified of what's coming after. And like everyone, the people who think that we're sensationalizing it a bit, it's not that bad, and Sean's just been handed this opportunity. He has nothing to do with it. I don't know if they're naive or I don't know. I mean, okay, Fakhar Zaman is a very experienced player, right? He would not risk his fitness in a random bilateral
exactly
for no reason. He knew his place was at risk. Imam, his place shouldn't be at risk because he's proved himself last year in ODI and if you want to mix formats, which are Deer's chief selector and his friends tend to do, in test cricket too. Hate to admit it, but he kind of has, considering how Shan Masood has been going. And and like I feel like it's ridiculous that after the series now we're like, oh, will Imam go to the World Cup? And before the series we're like, oh, will Fakhar go to the World Cup? Now that Century, of course, for the time being has proved it right. But it's the worst to have keep looking behind your back to know that your place is in danger. And that's true for everyone. It's true for our captain now, who is not just our captain but the best ODI batter in the world right now. So I don't know, it's awful. It's really shit. That's what it is.
Yeah, even Rizwan, who's being
Oh,
flown
yeah.
into Bangladesh to play the BPL, and people here think he's not good enough for their, playing 11.
Yeah.
I mean, फिर ये लोग हर बात पे कहते हैं कि when other players go out to play franchise cricket, they're like, you don't respect your own talent, you don't respect your own players, but then they're the same people telling Rizwan that you're not good enough. He's been flown out to Bangladesh on a helicopter. Clearly, people know he's worth it.
Rizwan hate
I
is
mean,
always gonna be funny to me. When it's
yeah,
related to cricket and all, I get the frustration of him not doing well at the World
yeah,
Cup, which was really
yeah,
frustrating. But you cannot
yeah,
question his value in a T20 side in a franchise. Like,
yeah,
obviously, you've got an opener, you've got a wicket keeper, you've got a gun fielder, and you've got like someone who can really take on in the power play when he's at his best.
yeah,
Why would you not want him? And then, of course, he also did
yeah,
well in the ODI series, which was really, really great. I'm
yeah,
really happy that he did. Ditto Aga, I feel like
yeah,
both of their places were at risk. I feel like they were watching very closely to see if they would mess up, and they didn't, thank God. But now I'm worried
yeah.
that they think Aga is our finisher. He's not. He's a great batter, but he's not. But yeah.
No. Yeah, I think with our ODI squad, when it was announced, I remember you and the other people on Twitter, like our friends covered like CD and then critic, all of us went insane that where is our number 6? There is no one on the number 6 spot. And I mean, Khush Shah, who has played at that spot and won you matches the past year and a half,
Yeah.
I think the last ODI series we played before the New Zealand one was the West Indies Wali, and if our chief selector or our selection committee, I just thought about watching those games and highlights ही देख लेते पूरी गेम ना देखते तो शायद उनको नजर आ जाता कि खुशदिल शाह he is our number 6 batter, all-rounder, whatever you want to call him, who does what he does and then wins you games with either Shadab or Nawaz at the other end. But apparently not. Apparently that's too much to ask for. And yeah, I guess we are just happy not having a number 6. We're happy playing with a number 5 or a number 4 batter at the number 6 spot, and then being angry that they don't know how to finish the game, because I mean, I guess that makes sense to whoever is on the top, because they'd rather not have your best number 6 play the very role he has been developed to play the last year and a half. But yeah, I think especially since Shadab, you knew Shadab was not playing. He was, when you know that he's not there, he's not just a bowler, he is your very important middle order batter, and he's not playing, and yet you think, if I need someone to bat in the middle order or the last 10 overs or something, who should I go with? Definitely not the guy who has done the job for the year and a half. Definitely not him. What other options do we have? And I mean, I don't know if you remember, but the initial probables was it was the stuff of my nightmares. I think it had Shajil Khan in it, and I was like, what? What? And I mean, I was like, ये किस तरह बनेंगे इसके साथ playing 11. I remember I was like going through that list of probables. I still don't know what that means. Why do you need a list of, I don't know, 30 people for a home ODI series? You really don't. But yeah, I was going through that list. I was like, maybe this is a challenge that you need to make a playing 11 out of this. Maybe that was, a thinking exercise for Babar and whoever makes our team. Actually, speaking of that,
go on.
I'm gonna ask a question and you can answer both at the same time. Speaking of which, Remember when, like, I think it was before the test when Babar said in the press conference, "Ke Shahid Afridi aayega and then we'll decide on our playing 11." If it's
Yeah.
not Babar's playing 11, why is he answerable to them? And you can just answer all of it at the same time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, good question. I actually didn't remember that. I also thought it was interesting. I mean, clearly, there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
They also said that, oh, we didn't appoint
Yeah.
Shan Masood as captain. The selectors didn't know
Yeah.
anything about it. Babar didn't know
Yeah.
anything about it. Then
Yeah.
who's doing this? Who is deciding the playing 11 in an all-important test match, which then, brought in a bowler who wasn't good enough? And then
Yeah.
who's deciding that Shan Masood is going to be your vice captain when he doesn't fit into the squad? And who's
Yeah.
deciding the probables if not with the captain? Like, Mohammed Wasim, I don't
Yeah.
really know in detail how he worked, but I know that he was a laptop selector, which meant that and he would always talk
Yeah.
about mere pass numbers pade hue aap numbers dekh le, and he would point to his laptop.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's where his data was. So you
Yeah.
know that he was
Yeah.
informed by data.
Yeah.
And then you know that Babar had a say in it, to the point that people were like, Babar's too powerful as a captain, he gets a say in
Yeah.
selection, all of that. And that's fine,
Yeah.
you can have your grievances with it. But now we've reached a point where neither the selectors are making the call for vice captaincy, nor is Babar. And you've also got a problem where the playing 11, which is supposed to be decided by
Yeah.
the coaching staff in Babar, is being decided by the selectors. So, like, weird.
Yeah.
Like, there's no proper power division going on here, and it
Yeah.
feels like everyone's just like, I want this to happen, I want this to happen.
Yeah.
Babar's just like, why am I dealing
Yeah.
with this?
Yeah.
So yeah, you feel bad for the guy, it's not fair to him.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also the fact that the New Zealand series in itself was so bizarre. Shahid Afridi is going to the pitch curators and telling them that I need pitch chahiye. I mean, he's the chief selector. Why is he telling what kind of pitch they need for the
Bro,
match?
and
then
the
he's-
press conferences, why was he
Yeah.
doing so many?
And like in the middle of the match, I think innings break में उसकी दोबारा हो रही है. It was just a bizarre series उस तरह से because then he's saying that the pitch is still not the kind that I wanted. I wanted more bounce, and I'm like, who are you? Why do you want a certain kind of pitch? This is not your show. You're the chief selector. And then he's just like he's commenting on everything कि हम जिस तरह चाहते थे इस तरह नहीं खेला. In the first test he's like, I thought हम थोड़ा वो कर सकते थे, restrict और ज़्यादा कर सकते थे उनका score. I was like, what is going on, man? This is not your job. Job description में कोई, they're not sticking to any job description. Everybody, I feel like, is doing what they want. And for a second I was scared for my life that वहाँ पे it was probably a rumor, but the news started floating that he's gonna stay as chief selector till the World Cup. And I was like, God, I don't know if I'll be able to watch cricket, but I think he's not staying. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, apparently it's gonna get worse because the news is floating that other former players are being contacted for the role of chief selector, and amongst them is, I don't know, Kamran Akmal and Shoaib Akhtar, and I don't know if that's true. I hope it's not.
I don't know.
But if it is,
honestly, there's so many rumors floating around. Okay, people were like, "Hey, Waqar Yunus has been called in
yeah,
to be coach." And then
Yeah.
turns out it wasn't even true. Like, a lot of people were saying it.
yeah,
But there's a lot
Yeah.
of misinformation because there's a lot going on. And
Yeah.
people can just say anything, and honestly, I might believe it. Someone could be like,
yeah.
yeah, Sarfraz is becoming our chief selector, but also becoming captain of the ODI team. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, is he really? Like, nothing is
Yeah.
absurd anymore. We've come
Yeah.
so far now in the space of a few weeks. Okay, I expect anything, and I
Yeah.
don't expect anything. Or as I expect everything
know-
and don't expect everything. I don't know. Whatever.
You
know
know,
what it is.
remember when Misbah was the chief selector and the head coach, and everybody was saying, "ये तो सारा कुछ कर रहा है. What's going on? This is conflict of interest or whatever."
Yeah.
I don't see any of them commenting right now about Shahid Afridi going to, like you said, इतनी सारी press conference करी जा रहा है, and he's commenting on everything. And I mean, at least stick to your principles. If you think Misbah doing it was wrong, then Shahid Afridi, even if he's doing it in an informal capacity, it's still wrong. You can't do everything. Stick to your
Yeah.
job. But yeah, उसके अलावा I just I know I had grievances with Babar's captaincy. I know you did too, and I know a lot of our friends did too, especially in T20s. But now, like from where we're recording, I think every one of us is just like, if you're gonna come for Babar, you're coming for all of us. And I think if nothing else, these boomers have managed to do that. They've managed to unite all of us. So I guess that's a plus point. Once they go again, then we can start fighting about Babar's captaincy again. But जितनी देर तक they're here, जितनी देर तक they're here, I guess we're all back to defending Babar like it's our one true purpose in life.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with that. Okay, I mean that was a long episode, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think we somehow managed to cover everything that's going on in men's cricket. And hopefully the next time we meet, we will also talk about women's cricket. There's a lot going
Yeah.
on there. If you're not watching the Under 19 Women's World Cup, I would highly recommend it. Not even just Pakistan's games; the girls are doing brilliantly so far. It's
Yeah.
their first international matches ever. Thanks BCP for that.
Yeah.
So everything they're doing is just punching over their weight, honestly.
Yeah.
But the other teams
Yeah.
as well are doing really, really great. Bangladesh is making a splash, honestly. I'm rooting for them. And then the Rwandan team pulled off an upset yesterday over Zimbabwe, which is a big deal because Zimbabwe is a full member. And
Yeah.
of course, our senior women's team is having a series against Australia. We are expectedly struggling a little bit over there, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping that this is good preparation for the World Cup, which is
Yeah.
in a week or two, I guess, in 2 weeks or so.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah,
a lot going on in women's cricket.
Yeah. Like Iman said, please follow the Under 19 World Cup. I started watching it, and it's so much fun. And if you do watch it, also follow Iman on Twitter because he's giving updates, live updates. I was sitting in class yesterday while our match versus England was going on, and Iman was giving ball to ball updates, and I was living for them. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully we'll get to talk more about women's cricket in that one. So stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.